Good morning and welcome back to it, guys. The Now Morning Show, where we told you we'd be talking about some star players. At least they will be pretty soon, because the National Boys and Girls Intercol competitions for secondary schools football league is underway. Mr. Laurence Seepersad, the Assistant Secretary of Operations, is joining us this morning on the Now Morning Show as we deep dive into what will be an incredible season ahead. Good morning and welcome to the Now Morning Show.
Hi, great morning to you all. Thanks for having me here.
Great morning. It's a
Appreciate
pleasure
that.
to have you with us on the show this morning. So let's jump straight into the conversation. We know that the youth are electrified right now, looking forward to what are going to be the National Intercall beginning today. Now, what can we expect from this?
Well, the National Intercol, for whatever reason, tends to generate some interest in the football amongst the kids. And this has been going on. Our competition will have started on the 6th of November, actually. And at this point in time, we are in semi-final and final stages. Will be coming up competition supposed to culminate on the 7th of December, where we have both boys and girls finals, which they are both scheduled for the Hazy Crawford Stadium on that particular day.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, before we get to the finals, we want to recap a little bit because we had boys and we had girls. I am particularly keen on hearing your perspective on a little bit of a recap of the girls' championship leading up to the Big Five, particularly.
Well, the girls' championship, as we know, that was contested in all 5 zones, meaning the Central, South, Tobago, East, right, and the North, of course, right, where we generated champions from all 5 zones, and these various champions, they went on to play their Big Five competition. The Big Five final is scheduled for next week, actually. That will be played in Tobago with the winners of Trinidad, that is Five Rivers Secondary, versus the winners of Tobago. In this case, it's Scarborough Secondary School. So that game is scheduled for next week, sometime next week. Whilst the Big Five is in progress, I must say that the Intercol would have started, and we would have only yesterday, we would have acquired all 5 champions in various zones, 5 zones as well.
Yesterday, right.
Yes, right. So yesterday we had the Five Rivers Secondary as well. They emerging as winners of the E-Zone Secondary School, E-Zone champions, sorry. Right. And in the Central Zone, we had the Miracle Ministries Pentecostal High School. They emerged winners in the Central Zone. So all together, we have our 5 winners in 5 zones, moving on to quarterfinal and final stages of the competition.
Both boys and girls, so we're ready for a big, my brain is going a mile a minute, because back in my day, Intercol, Big Five, all of these championships would have, yes, created excitement, but also helped you to identify some really phenomenal players that usually go on to do great things. So let's talk a little bit about the quality and the actual sportsmanship that we're seeing coming from these schools. A lot of the times we know that they're doing this with very limited resources, and sometimes with students who are very much disinterested in anything but football. So we have to have that balance. We have to have that support. Tell me a little bit about the players themselves.
Well,
at least from your perspective.
What I've noticed is that we would have started at the SSFL. We'd have started instilling in our players, or students really, that, hey, you are a student athlete. And student comes first before the athlete aspect of it. There's life after football, and it's important that you spend some time in the classroom focusing on some academics, so that, you know, opportunities that may present themselves, that you'll be able to access these opportunities afterwards, right? Even so, the scouts that are here, you may be the best player, but the academics, it isn't up to mark. You know, that prevents you from moving on with a scholarship or things like that, right? So we try to instill in our kids, hey, the importance of the classroom work. Yeah.
Would you consider that a challenge when it comes to managing students with the Secondary School Football League?
It is a challenge. Of course, it is a challenge, because a lot of our students, they see it as football first and academics after. And we have to try to, hey, turn that around, you know. Sometimes, I mean, being honest, we don't really get 100%, you know, but at least we would have reached some. And so by reaching some, you know, we feel that we would have done justice to the kids, really, right? Because the last thing we would like to to do really is to use the kids in inverted commas to play football, to attract the crowds and make us look good. And at the end of it, they leave school, they go their way, and what happens after? So, yeah, it is important.
It definitely is important. Now, aside from that particular challenge, are there other challenges that the SSFL faces in order to put together something as massive as this?
Well, put it this way, our season finishes on December 7th. As soon as that is finished, we plan our prize-giving function, which is big. After that, planning takes place for the next season. It's a year-round activity, right? We have negotiations with our sponsors. We have everything to think about, making fixtures. It's just simple, right? Everyone would see the product, but the actually processing, getting this activity, creating this product really, that takes some time really. It's a year-round activity. All right, and we try to create programs where the kids will, the bottom line is the kids will benefit from, right? We do coaching programs, we do administrative programs, to enhance the league itself.
I like that you have the coaching programs and the administrative programs as well, because those are incredibly important facets of any league, not just yours. But granted that you have had adults, let's say, not necessarily behaving very well. That incident at the end of the Premiership competition, fracas between adults and players, that, well, in terms of how you will treat with it, any plans or any perspectives you want to share on that one?
Before we go there, I must say that apart from our coaching programs and administrative programs, you also have what is called a safeguarding course for all adults who associate themselves with the various school teams. Right? It has been mandatory that they do this course, where they understand what the roles of the adults are, what they should be doing, what they should not be doing. What had happened during the end of the season year, more so, is that supporters really caused the whole, right? And this is something that we try to encourage schools to try as much as possible to encourage their supporters, parents and, well-wishers and so on, to conduct themselves in a manner that is befitting of children being around and things like that. But what transpired here, we would have addressed it. Principals would have come forward and make their apologies and, try to address the perpetrators of this particular case, in these cases. And we don't really play a blind eye to it at all.
Appreciate it. We'll be handing out bans for the rest of the year. No, it's fine. It's one of those things that happens in the major league. So we'll see how it goes. Any fines for the teams, parents, don't put the children in those positions, please. But the Trinidad and Tobago Football League has begun. So we are looking at matches that are happening on the same day as Intercol fixtures as well. Has that affected the SSFL in any way?
Well, I would say no, to some extent. To some extent in that we compete for the same grounds at times, right? And that sometimes we are placed on a second fiddle, if I want to say so, yes, and unfortunately so. But we do have our fixtures. We would have made our fixtures early o'clock, Center 10, and the Trinidad and Tobago Premier League, they would have started. But we try to work hand in hand all fairs. We try not any fight down with anyone as such. Yes, and we embrace each other, and whatever we can do for the betterment of the children's football and the football of the nation on the whole, we go for it.
I love the fact that you mentioned the football of the nation as well. Do you expect that some from the secondary schools football league will now become part of the Trinidad and Tobago Premier Football League clubs?
Well, believe me, last year, or should I say earlier this year, the Premier Division, they were functioning, and we had students playing in the Premier Football.
Oof, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So when school football started, yes, we did.
Oh, come on, the energy of the youth.
Yes.
All right.
Right. And so we had both Tier 1 and Tier 2. We had participants from the SSFL in those competitions. Yeah, so we do have that caliber of players really in our league, and we are very proud of them.
I'm sure you are. And in that case, they would attribute to some of the successes of the league. But beyond the players themselves, tell us some other successes that the league has enjoyed, at least for this year specifically.
Well, this year what we have seen quite a few scouts around the games. We have got a lot more people inquiring about particular players and particular teams, which augurs well for not only the league, but the players themselves moving out there and improving themselves. Right? We have had the newly appointed national under-20 and under-23 coach, Mr. Brian Haynes. He has been going around to games and looking quietly and taking notes and pulling people to come on his sessions. I know he had a session yesterday, he had one Saturday, he has one Thursday. So he has been liaising with us constantly, and finding out who is this player, number, etc., etc. And so we do have people very quietly. When he presents himself, I can say straightly, when Brian presents himself at games, he goes quietly and sits on the stands and watch and finds out.
Best way to do it, because if they know you're there,
that
they're going to give you a different game.
That's right, yeah, it's a pressure into water, yeah.
Now, you mentioned Tier 1 and Tier 2, and of course we know this with the TTPFL, but let's talk about the other age categories that you have within the Secondary Schools Football League.
Oh, well, believe me, it's so competitive. Now, apart from our Premier Division boys, the Championship boys and girls, we also have the Senior Division boys and girls in all 5 zones I'm speaking about, right? We have under 16 boys, we have the girls under 15, we have the boys under 14, we have the boys Form 1 under 13. Yeah, we attempted to have girls under 13 this season here, but it wasn't successful, but we are not giving up on it. Hopefully by next season, we should have enough teams to participate in that. Yeah, but in all areas at this point in time, they are in the stages of semi-finals, finals, right, to wrap up the season. But it has been very, very competitive.
Yeah, it definitely sounds like it's been super competitive. Now, one of the things you just mentioned with the younger girls in particular, that it wasn't as successful. Why do you think that is?
Well, the idea of the competition came on a bit late.
Okay.
Right, and we still tried to see if if it was possible, so the teams weren't that prepared, and like that. But we found that there was a gap between the Form 1 really and the under 15. So sometimes your interest is there in Form 1, there's no competition for you, and time you reach under 15, you lose that interest, like that. Yeah, so it's something that we want to continue encouraging for the new season come 2024 really, to take it there.
Kudos to you guys for recognizing that gap and attempting to fill it. And I suspect that next year will be far greater, because you're right. Form 1, you come in with all that energy and all that enthusiasm, and then my Form 3 with the workload, you're like, forget that.
That's quite right. Yes.
Well, you reminded me of my days playing football in secondary school, all the excitement and the enthusiasm that they hold there. So in terms of students or parents that might be interested in what is next for the league, where can we find more information? How do we connect?
Well, our office is located at the Bowland Stadium, home of football right now. We are temporarily at the home of football, but we're really based at the Bowland Stadium. Right, we do have our website, and we just an email address that can pick up easily. Yes, and we are open. We are open for suggestions, for whatever comments, whatever criticisms you may have. No problem, we accept it. Yes, because with every bit of criticism, really, there's something there that you can take and build from that. Yeah, and so, but as I always say, constructive criticism not there because your team loses or something. You're going a different direction. And be it around the savannah, around the playing field, you want to say something, no problem. You can reach out to us, people, and we are easily accessible.
And it's absolutely wonderful and necessary. And love the fact that you mentioned, even with criticism, send it to us, because this is the only way that we are going to
Of course.
grow. Yes. Laurence, thank you so much for joining us this morning on the Now Morning Show. It's been a pleasure. I know you have a very busy few weeks ahead of you. Hoping that you get to rest at some point in time during this Christmas season.
Well, I hope I don't ever finish, believe me.
Not at all. You have activities up to today,
Yesterday, the National Boys Intercol quarterfinal is going to be taking place. St. Anthony's College against QRC at the Hazley Crawford Stadium.
St. Anthony's College versus Shogunas North.
Oh, Shogunas North.
Yes,
apologies.
quarterfinal. Yes.
Quarterfinals today at the Hazley Crawford Stadium. So if you do have time, check it out, and that could be the reason for some traffic you may see during the day. Trinidad and Tobago, talking about football. Football is literally the moment in our country, whether you are young or whether you are a little bit older. Either way, this is what we're here for now to share with you, so stay tuned. We'll have more in a moment.
As crazy as we might seem to be, we still fight to be a family. Indiana